that night like it was yesterday. It was a full moon, and the shadows cast by the towering trees of the forest seemed to dance as if mocking the fate of the man who once ruled us all, King Odombe. Our village was nestled near the edge of the dense Abaka forest, a place known for its ancient trees, and rumored to be inhabited by spirits, both good and evil. But those tales, I thought, were just stories for children, until that fateful evening. King Odom had always been a man of strength and ambition, a ruler whose words could sway even the most stubborn. He wasn't born into royalty, but his power and cunning had elevated him from humble beginnings to a throne that many believed he was unworthy of. He was ruthless, not only with enemies, but also with his own people. His desire to be the most powerful ruler in all the land consumed him. It all began when he discovered the ancient shrine deep in the Abaka forest. The elders warned him never to go near it, for it was said that the spirits of the forest were powerful and could either bless or curse a man who dared disturb their resting place. But Odom, in his arrogance, saw the shrine as an opportunity, a way to solidify his reign forever. He thought that by sacrificing a portion of his soul to the spirits, he could obtain limitless power. He didn't listen to the elders. One evening he left the palace alone, his mind set on acquiring the kind of power that would make him invincible. The villagers, frightened by his sudden disappearance, assumed he was on one of his long journeys to other lands. But I, being close to him in service, knew the truth. I had seen the way he looked at the elders and the whispers he exchanged with his trusted advisors. The power-hungry gleam in his eyes told me that he was after something far darker than anyone could imagine. It was on a moonless night when I heard the terrible news. King Odom had returned, but he was no longer the man he had been. He was different, darker, colder. His eyes glowed unnaturally, and his once regal manner had been replaced by an unsettling silence. His presence alone sent shivers down my spine, and when he spoke, his voice sounded like the wind howling through the trees, a sound that seemed to come from the depths of the earth. What had happened in that forest? What had he done to himself? That was the question everyone was too afraid to ask. He came back with newfound strength. The kingdom, which once flourished under his rule, began to wither. The crops died, the cattle grew weak, and the rivers, once bountiful, dried up. People fell ill with strange diseases. Fear gripped the land. At night, strange sounds echoed from the forest, and rumors spread that Odom had made a pact with dark forces. The first sign that Odom's reign had been tainted came when the sky itself seemed to darken every time he walked into the palace courtyard. He would gaze into the distance, his eyes burning with a cold, unholy fire. He had sought the power of the spirits, but in return they demanded something far greater, his soul. At first, the villagers were too terrified to speak of it, but over time they began to whisper. Some said the king had become possessed by the very spirits he had tried to control. His temper was unbearable, and anyone who crossed him faced death. His soldiers were sent out to raid villages to take whatever they wanted. He no longer listened to reason. The once proud king had become a tyrant, feared not only for his strength but for the unnatural power that radiated from him. But it wasn't until that stormy night, when I was sent by the elders to deliver a message to him, that I truly understood the magnitude of his downfall. I arrived at the palace as the winds howled and lightning cracked through the sky, illuminating the silhouette of King Odom in the throne room. He sat upon his throne, a crown of thorns resting on his head, his fingers twitching as though holding something invisible. His eyes glowed, but not with the pride of a ruler. No, it was the light of a man who had lost his soul. Bayo, he called, his voice soft, yet filled with an eerie power. You have come to see the power I have gained, haven't grant you the power to control life and death itself." I stepped forward, my heart pounding in my chest. The air around him was thick, oppressive. I could feel the weight of his presence pressing down on me. "I have come to speak for the elders," I said, forcing myself to remain calm. "Your people are suffering, Your Majesty. The land grows barren. The people cry out for your help. You must stop what you have done." He let out a low, rumbling laugh that sent chills down my spine. "Suffering," he echoed. "Do you not see? The land is mine to control. The spirits of the forest listen to my every command. My power is beyond measure. I am a god among men." "But at what cost?" I asked, my voice trembling despite my best efforts. "You've made a pact with darkness, Odom. You've traded your soul for power. The spirits will not be pleased. They will come for you." For a moment there was silence. His glowing eyes bored into mine, and for the first time I saw something I had never seen before: fear. "You do not understand," he whispered, more to himself than to me. "The spirits, they have already taken my soul. They are in control now. I am just their puppet." Suddenly, the room began to shake. The ground cracked and the windows shattered. From the shadows, a terrifying figure emerged, a dark, looming presence that was neither human nor spirit. It was the spirit of the forest, a creature of immense power, its body composed of swirling shadows and glowing eyes. The creature stepped forward, its voice like thunder. "Odom," it boomed, "you sought power, but you failed to understand the price. Now your soul is mine." With a scream, the king tried to rise, but his body was frozen in place, as if the very air had become too thick for him to move. The spirit's shadowy tendrils wrapped around him, pulling him into the darkness, his cries echoing as he was consumed. The palace crumbled around me. I ran, not daring to look back, but the screams of the king haunted me for days. The once mighty Odom was no more. The spirits had claimed him, and his reign of terror came to an end. The land slowly began to heal. The crops returned, the rivers flowed again, and the people, freed from his tyrannical rule, began to rebuild their lives. The elders told us that Odom had been warned, but his greed had blinded him. He had taken too much, and in the end, the spirits had taken everything from him. Years later, I still sometimes hear the whispers of that stormy night. I still feel the cold touch of the dark spirit, and I often wonder how much power is truly worth the price. Odom sought to control everything, but in the end, he was nothing more than a man who lost everything: his soul, his kingdom, and his life. And so the tale